Welcome back. Well, it's 5 years now since Israel's government began building the West Bank barrier. The wall is designed to run for more than 700 kilometres. Nearly 70% of it is already complete or under construction. When it's finished, only 20% of it will lie on the so-called Green Line. That is the 1949 armistice line drawn up between Israel and its neighbours. The rest falls within the West Bank, making it Israel's de facto border. And while Israel claims it needs the barrier to protect it from suicide bombers, 4 years ago the United Nations declared it illegal. It says the wall, with its numerous checkpoints and gates, restricts the movement of some 2.5 million Palestinians, denying them access to basic services, jobs, places of worship and even their families. Opponents claim Israel is citing security issues to mask a simple land grab. In 2004, the International Court of Justice concluded the barrier was illegal and called for it to be demolished. Well, Bilayin is the third case where the Supreme Court's ruled that the barrier should be altered, and more than 40 petitions are still pending calling for similar changes. Well, joining us again now, our guests, Marcus Sheff of the Israel Project, Khalil Tafakji at the Arab Studies Society, and Jamal Juma of the Anti-Apartheid Wall Campaign. Jamal Juma in Ramallah, let me start with you. Israel says it's building the wall to keep out Palestinian suicide bombers, as Marcus Sheff was saying there, and figures do show that the number of bombings where the wall has been erected has actually fallen dramatically. So the wall is effective for that reason. What's your response to that?
You know, I think this is an old argument, and the Israeli officials is already just giving it up. I don't know why they are still talking in this argument. Isolating the Jordan Valley, evacuating villages like Al-Hadidiyah and Homsa that's going on. Is it for security? What kind of security they want in the Jordan Valley? In Jerusalem, 168 kilometers of walls, according to the United Nations report that have been issued today. It's inside and around the Palestinian communities inside Jerusalem. It is for isolating and getting out as much as Palestinians can out of Jerusalem. It is ethnic cleansing policies. How they can justify this ethnic cleansing policies under the name of the security? It's ununderstandable, dividing the West Bank into ghettos. North, south, west, and some other 5 within Jerusalem, beside isolated Gaza, and they call it for security. It's clear, my friend. Israel, what he's doing, they don't want to allow any Palestinian state to be established. They don't want the Palestinians to have any identity here. They want to control them forever. That's why they create these ghettos. Israel is going to be, and it is now, an apartheid state. What the justification of the network of the apartheid roads, Israeli-only roads through all over the West Bank? Is this for security? Destroying the Palestinians' life, the Palestinian future, is this for the security? Unless if they want to look at it from that they are superior and the Palestinians not human being even.
All right, well, let's
they
get a
can't
view.
Justify anything.
Okay, well, let's get a view from
Please.
Jerusalem and go back to Marcus Sheff. Marcus, in 2004, the International Court of Justice ruled the wall illegal and called for it to be demolished. I mean, does Israel take any note of these international rulings, or does it just simply ignore them?
I'm sorry, again, I got cut off there, but I think you're talking about the international rulings.
Yes.
Of course, Israel... Yes, okay, of course Israel cares about international rulings, but the terminology of this discussion I find really quite bizarre. The use of the word apartheid, for instance, when we all know that it makes absolutely no sense in this context. Unless, of course, apartheid means separating terrorists who want to kill people going about their everyday business with the people they want to kill. Apartheid makes absolutely no sense at all. This is all about security, and the fact is, it's worked. And you know what? You can move a fence. What you can't do is bring back to life the people who have been killed.
OK, what about the international rulings?
Yes, it is about security.
But what about the international rulings?
The international... Which particular international rulings are you talking about?
Well, the 2004 International Court of Justice ruling that says the wall's illegal.
Well, there's been a lot written, a lot said about that particular ruling, and there's a lot said about what is binding and what isn't binding within it. But I think we have to deal with facts here, and I think we have to look to the future. It's absolutely pointless talking about that which is not real. It's pointless talking about Israel wanting to create things which it doesn't want to create. We all know that the majority of Israelis want to create peace. They want to live in peace with their neighbors. And we all know, because Israel has done it before, that Israel will take down fences, Israel will move blocks, Israel will do whatever it's necessary after peace agreements have been made in order to make life easier for everybody. What Israel and Israel's government, I'm sure, will not do is allow Israel's population to be victim to murderous terror campaigns.
OK, let's bring in Khalil Tafakci again and talk about the issue of settlements, because you raised it earlier on. This latest ruling, as you were saying, doesn't give back all the land to the residents of Bilayin. It still means the nearby settlement of Modi'in Illit could be enlarged. So is this verdict really just a compromise and not really a solution, do you think?
First of all, I want to tell my colleague Marcos, sometimes this wall is divided between Arab neighborhood, not between settlement and Arab neighborhood. This is one. So this wall is not for security, it's for politics, as I told in the beginning. Now, secondly, about Bilayin. You know that Bilayin, it's agricultural villages in the west. So most of the land is occupied or now it's behind the wall. So if they retain back part of the land, which agricultural land, and you know that the Palestinian, the West Bank, they have their economy, it's only agriculture. We have no petrol, we have nothing. So if they retain back 100 or 1,000 dunums or 100 acres for the Palestinians, it means something is better than nothing. But in the end, we want to speak about the future, about our children, and not all the time speaking about the security. Security is mean return back to the green line and build your wall in the on the green line. Everybody accepted, and in that time you can ask the question to the Palestinian, make security, and I think that we make the security for the Israel when we return back to the green line. Now the green line is in the heart of the West Bank. It means that in 25 square kilometer inside in the West Bank, it means that there is no Palestinian state in the future.
Okay.
If part of the land return back to the Palestinian, it's okay, but we are speaking about the future for our children.
OK, well, let's stay with that issue of the future and bringing back Jamal Juma, because this court action was very much brought about by ordinary Palestinians. I mean, is there a lack of interest and support from Palestinian political parties? I mean, are they too busy with other issues to focus in on what's happening at the separation wall?
Yeah, and of course, I think the political situation between the Palestinian political parties just encourage Israel to kill more Palestinians and to go ahead with building the wall, isolating the communities, destroying houses, and going with all these things. Just want to remind that Ehud Barak in 1999, when he was a president, he said, we are separating us from them. They are here, we are there. That's why there's 14 villages located between the wall and the Green Line, and between the wall and the apartheid roads is now under the threat of expulsion, and some of them have been issued, and they tell them to prepare themselves to move. So the Palestinian, here we are calling as a popular movement, the people who are struggling for that, the Palestinian political parties, all of them, is to put the wall and the whole issue on the ground on their priorities and to make it like the main issue. And we demand also that nothing going to happen on the discussions with Israel without stopping this catastrophe that's called the wall, without stopping destroying the houses.
OK, let's get a final thought from Marcus Sheff in Jerusalem. I mean, this Bilayin case is very much about the livelihood of Palestinian farmers. But I mean, does Israel study or look into the real economic impact on the ground of what the separation wall has caused?
Yeah, well, of course, it's it's very complicated, and there is always an attempt to balance Israel's security needs with the lives of Palestinians and with the needs of Palestinians. There are clearly occasions when it's been got wrong, and that's when people go to the Israeli Supreme Court and get an answer which puts right what has got wrong. This is a process which is good. It's democratic, it's fair, and it works. And this is a process which will probably continue in the future. Not everybody gets everything right. Yes, I think that's fair to say.
OK, gentlemen, we have to leave it there. Marcus Sheff in Jerusalem, Khalil Tafakci in Jerusalem, and Jamal Juma in Ramallah. Thank you all very much indeed for your time. And thank you so much for joining us here on this edition of Inside Story. We welcome your comments and suggestions. Please email them to us at insidestory@aljazeera.net. From the whole team here, for now, goodbye.